Hello and welcome to Connect and Collaborate. I am Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and I am pumped to have one of my favorite guests in studio, Anthony Lambatos. He is the owner of Footers Catering, which is just down the street from us.
Yep.
And you have an amazing team that you work with.
Thank you. We like to think so too. It's yes, great to be here. Always fun each month to join you and have some good conversation.
Yes.
You mentioned our team. That's obviously something that's we're very passionate about. It's near and dear to my heart, and it's so much fun to be able to bring that conversation to this show each month and really talk about how we've been able to create a great place to work and hopefully help some of our listeners get on that path too.
I think so. I think I do get a few requests, fan mail, if you will, of people that are interested to know more about how to create your business, how to grow your business, things like that, right? And so that's kind of what we focus on here on Connect and Collaborate, but specifically with you. One of my favorite things that we do is, yes, you're in the hospitality industry. Yes, you own a catering company, but it's so much more than that. There's so much more that you bring in, and on this show every month you tend to bring me amazing people. You always have.
Good.
But they're all in the realm of like ensuring that people know next steps on business and how to get your flow going, and whether that's starting out or you've been a business and you've been established for a long time, and now what are the next steps?
How do you shift?
Exactly, which I'm excited to talk about some shifting that you guys are doing. But before we do that, last month you were at CaterSource.
Yes.
So how was that?
It was amazing. We had a great time. Our team represented so well. CaterSource is the national convention for the catering industry. It's the largest gathering of caterers, I'm pretty sure, in the world. But phenomenal. We had 5 of our different team members presenting different sessions, and we've been very fortunate to establish a pretty good reputation on a national level. And so speaking about things that were very technical, our pastry chef and executive chef spoke about integrating your pastry department within your the savory side of your kitchen and how the two can kind of work together. And then I did a couple presentations on leadership and communication. April talked about creating a mission, and she was on a panel that was called Fierce Females, which was really cool for business women business owners, and so she was up there with 5 industry leaders talking about what it means to be a woman in that position, and it was really cool. So great experience. Beyond that, we just have a lot of fun being able to connect with people from all across the country and hear what they're doing and be inspired by some of the stuff that's going on. That's not necessarily in our market and we don't get to see. So it's an amazing time. New Orleans is where it was this year, and what a great city to be in. And always, when you go to a catering conference, the parties are pretty good.
Weird. I would have never guessed. I'm sure the food's amazing, and not for lack of good service.
You don't feel sorry for us. That's after the conference is over, it still lingers. So
yes, I bet. Well, in New Orleans, it's one of my favorite food cities.
Oh, yes.
It's one of those cities that is extremely eclectic on the food scale, but also very underrated, I think.
Oh, I totally agree. It was we ate at some amazing restaurants and got to really engulf ourselves in the culture and everything, ranging from a restaurant with James Beard Award winning chefs to char grilled oysters at the place Felix's, which we love, and just sitting there just char grilling all these oysters, and we couldn't get enough of those. They're amazing. So.
That's one of my favorite meals of all time. I love char-grilled oysters, and but also New Orleans is just a crazy place. But how much Cajun did you indulge in?
A little bit of that too.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean we did po' boys, and we did. It was there's a Cajun Butcher is one of our favorite spots for lunch, and they've got a couple sandwiches that are just awesome. Not necessarily down the Cajun road, but just all the food there is phenomenal.
It really is. And CaterSource, that was how you guys have been going to CaterSource for a while.
Yeah, I realized I think the first time I went to CaterSource was 2005. So yeah, it's pretty close to 15 years that I've been going.
Wow.
And yeah, just we find a ton of value in going and bringing our team. We had 11 team members go from Footers.
Yeah.
2 of our team members won scholarships from the International Catering Association, so that was cool too. That they applied for those and then received those scholarships.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. I'm gonna foray myself here and
Let's do it.
Talking Cater Source into talking about there's a special thing that you have. It's called MIBE Tribe,
That's
which
right.
you're sporting today. I like it. Yeah, MIBE Tribe. So MIBE actually stands for Make It Better Every Day.
That's right.
Yes. And so the cool thing about this is from what I understand from the conversations that we've had, you implement all of these things that you're seeing at CaterSource and other areas, and you have decided to make sure that your team is so outstanding that you always are making it better every day.
Yeah, so, gosh, where do I even start here? MIBE Tribe. MIBE Tribe is something that started internally. So the middle part, we have our mission statement is 3 bullets, and we've talked about this in previous shows that nothing against scripty paragraphs that usually come about with mission statements, but I feel like they're hard to remember and they don't resonate with people. And so for us, we really wanted to capture what was most important to our team. And so when we bought the business from my dad, that was part of what we did. And the 3 things that kept coming out were embodied in the 3 bullets of our mission statement. Love what you do. We want to have fun. We want to enjoy it. Make it better every day. We don't want to do the same thing we've done for 30 some odd years. We want to continue to be better and make it, improve it. And then the third part is create exceptional experiences for our clients and their guests. And that's how we do it. We get to be part of really special days in people's lives. And so we take that very seriously and want to make sure that we embody that piece. So with those 3 points, the middle part, it kind of took off within our company, and our team created the acronym MIBE for it, Make It Better Every Day. And so you walk around and people will say, oh, that's a good MIBE, and oh, you're MIBing that. And so all of a sudden, like this verbiage
It's a verb, yeah.
took off. Yeah, it became a verb. It's, it could be almost everything. Like that got MIBed. But then Tribe got added to it, and so now every meeting ends with MIBE Tribe on 3, and it kind of really took off as an internal thing. And at CaterSource, we actually launched what is now the external version of MIBE Tribe, and that's our desire and ultimate goal to bring culture and heart leadership to other companies in the hospitality industry through education and our immersion program that we have. So we've done this for a couple of years now, where we've had companies come and visit us, and it's been a great experience. But it wasn't until we had some clients come last year, and they said, Anthony, we want to come and we want to spend 4 days with you. And I said, 4 days? Like what?
Even fish start to sink after 3, right?
What are we going to do with them for 4 days? I was kind of at a loss. So I said, hey, give me a list of everything that you want to do. What do you want to accomplish? What you want to see?
Yeah.
So they put it together, and I'm like, okay, I think we can do all that in 2 or 3 days. And they're like, great, we'll come for 3. It's like, okay, come on out. So they brought 4 people and spent 3 days with our team. And, I think on both sides we got so much out of that experience. We underestimated how much, we had to give and how much they could learn from us, and they were just soaked everything up. I got an email from her a couple days ago talking about how our company's been footerized and we've done this and we've done that, and all the things they implemented, which is really rewarding for me. But it was at that point that we realized we had something special that we could really help other companies, and we needed to formalize it and not just have it be something that we kind of do on the side, but something that we really wanted to put energy and effort into. And so that's how we created MIBE Tribe, and that's our kind of flag that we're waving a little bit. We're still, obviously Footers is the first and foremost, and the baby that we will continue to focus on. But this is a fun offshoot that a lot of our team can also participate in, because some people, when they come, they want to look at this culture thing through the lens of, maybe the kitchen or maybe through the sales side. And so they can and we have vibes that they can pick, and they can go into these different areas, and the whole experience is really customized to get them the most of what they need out of the whole scenario. So our big platform that we offer is either 1 or 2 day culture immersion program where they can come to us. If they want to do 3 or 4, we can also do that. But primarily 1 to 2 days is usually what works. And so people come to our facility, and they've come from all over the country to visit us from, from the East Coast, West Coast, Texas.
Wow.
We've had people from all over come, and we've gotten, we got a great response at CaterSource, and so we're booking up for the year, which is really exciting. That people responded so well to this, and it's something that we obviously are passionate about, and excited that we can share it with other people. That was a lot.
That was a lot, but it's impressive that you're doing that, because I feel like it's amazing, first of all, to create a team that's so on par with each other, and you know exactly where the other person is, that you're able to open up and focus on a completely different look than catering altogether.
Yeah, and I think that's something that has been important to me from day one. April and I didn't want to build a company that relied on us. We wanted to be contributors and be a valuable part of it, but we didn't want to have everything kind of funnel through us. And that was part of seeing some of what my dad did historically. But also that was part of, he loved it. He loved being part of it. And for us, our passion is much more about the people and how do we help them grow and put them in positions to be successful. And so it makes us very proud to be able to focus on these other things and still be able to be part of Footers, but allow other people to step up and show that they can take the next step in their careers.
That's awesome. And I, as you mentioned, you're getting some great feedback on that.
Yes.
But before we talk about that kind of stuff and the convictions that you mentioned, I want to get into that conversation too.
Yes.
But before we do that, I want to talk about you as a leader.
Okay.
Yeah. Because obviously you were, I don't want to say primed necessarily, but you came from a dad that owned a company.
Sure.
Right? And so it's kind of, you look at that as a family company. Some people really want to be a part of that. Some people really don't. Some people just end up there.
Yes.
Everyone has their own path. But that being said, you have some amazing leadership skills that you've already put in place, and you're making this new MIBE Tribe. And let's talk about how you've parlayed that into MIBE Tribe.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, my journey has been a little interesting. There's a graphic out there that it says, what most people think success looks like, and it's, a line from here to here, and just there you go.
Yeah.
And then it says what success really looks like, and it's this whole squiggly line that goes all over the place, and then you end up at this new point. And I feel like that really embodies my path to how I got where I am now. If you would have asked me, in middle school, in high school, in college, do you want to be in the family business? No. No. I do not want to be in catering. I do not want to be part of Footers Catering. That is my dad's thing. That's not me. It's not for me.
Right.
And so that was all growing up. Yes, I worked in the business, and I had some amazing experiences. I will be forever grateful of the opportunities that both my parents gave me and teaching me work ethic. I was at I always tell the story from Parade Homes, and we had a 30-day contract to operate a concession stand. And it was a big concession stand. I mean, we had 5 different registers, and we had grills, and we had, ovens and fryers. And, throughout high school, my dad gave me and a couple of my buddies more and more responsibility over the years. And eventually, he just let us run the whole thing. And he even said, I'll give you 25% for food cost and, 15% for labor cost, and anything less than that, you get to keep it. And so it's like, okay, first
Sweet.
year, we didn't know what we were doing. We maybe made 1%, but by 3 years later, we knew everything about that operation and how business worked, and it's so valuable. But the thing that resonated most for me is we hired all of our friends, and we couldn't pay them as much as they could go get paid working other jobs. But what we had was a line of people wanting to come work for us because it was fun. And when you came, we had so many different things. We had this bell that you rang when an order was up, and you had the mullet count in the back. Like if somebody saw a mullet, there was a signal, and somebody would tally up another mullet, and just silly things like that we just had fun. And I looked around one day, and we had a line probably 10 people deep in all 5 registers, and everybody's just cranking out, just serving this great food, and I don't think anyone was over the age of 18. And so if you walked up to this, you would have been like, what is going on here? And it was just this moment of epiphany for me that it wasn't about goofing off, that when people are having fun, like, they do really amazing, productive work. We were working hard. We were working our tail off. We were working, more hours than any other high school kids I know at that time. But we were having so much fun. And so I think that was my first experience in terms of what it means to create a great place to work. And as I went through college and wanted to go down this road of sports marketing, and I love sports. That's something that I'm very passionate about. And so being part of that industry was something that really appealed to me. The companies that I worked for in sports, I started to see the other side of a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of red tape, a lot of that's how we've always done it. And that really was frustrating for me, seeing a family business, seeing that you can make changes, seeing the nimbleness of it. And then also, that creating a great place to work. Those things I wasn't finding, and that they exist in sports, don't get me wrong, but I started to see a different side of it. And so eventually, through a lot of different things, I came back and started working in the family business. But where my whole opinion really changed was in a conversation with one of my mentors, Bob Carruthers, and I'm sitting there and I'm having breakfast with him, and I said, Bob, I think I missed my calling. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I should have been a college basketball coach. That is what I should have been. And he said, well, why? And I said, well, first of all, I love strategy and like coming up with a game plan, and how do you put together, how you might win. The competition, I think, is really cool. And, in college, you kind of get to recruit your own team and recruit people to come be part of it. And how do you get them to work well together and play as a group on the floor? And then, when people come and in college, I think it's a great opportunity where they're still willing to learn and still, wanting to grow and advance their skills. And so you get that. And they even wear kind of, nice suits, and I don't mind that. I think I could do that. So I'm like going off on all these things about why I want to be a college basketball coach. And he said, Anthony, you have an opportunity to do all that right now at Footers. And it was like, oh yeah, like the light went on for me. And so from that day on, my whole opinion changed of what my job was at Footers. And it stopped being about catering, and it started being about people and coaching and leading and helping them to be successful and doing all those things that I truly enjoy doing. And I realized that I could do that with any vehicle. And yes, I happen to know catering very, very well, so that was helpful.
Yeah.
But once I took the focus off of catering and put it on that was when my whole opinion changed. And diving into those things that I'm passionate about, I started to learn a lot more about what leadership means and how do you value people and, the mistakes I've made. I think the other piece, I saw my dad, who is a very different leader. He is very passionate about what he does, but he's very demanding and very, he was a yeller.
Has high standards.
We used to call him the tornado.
The tornado.
And so... Sorry, Dad. But everybody would be in the office and everybody's kind of working. Everything's calm and nice. And then all of a sudden he'd come in and, he'd be screaming over here and he'd be yelling and this would go this way and this would go that way. And this is, all of a sudden, and he'd go from this office to that office and this office. And then all of a sudden he'd leave and he'd look around and people's hair is all disheveled and there's papers everywhere and everybody's got this look on their face like, what just happened? And it was tornado came through.
I have been a witness to this. Not to your dad, but...
I mean, he had very high expectations for what he wanted, but the way he communicated it left a lot of people, not in a place where you were excited to come to work. And so that was disheartening for me to see, and that was something that I was like, no, I want to be different. I want it to look different. It has to be something where people feel empowered, where people are excited about what they're doing. And again, not from a place of we're going to goof off at work. That's I think some of the mistakes, and we've talked about that at length in
Yeah.
a number of these shows, that it's not just about the perks. It's not about
Right.
it's about doing work that is meaningful, that is fulfilling, that you really can get behind and you're proud of, but doing it in an environment where you're proud of that as well, and you feel good about yourself and you feel good about who you're working with. And so trying to create that and being intentional about that has been something that I obviously love and is what we're doing. So that's my journey in terms of like how I've gotten here.
Yeah.
And at Footers had so many people along the way that have taught me great lessons, and amazing people that have bought into this as well and wanted to be part of what we're doing at Footers, that have really transformed the company into what it is now. And they deserve all that credit for what they've been able to do. So it's exciting.
That is exciting. That's really very exciting stuff. And at the end of the day, no matter what industry you're in, it is about the people, whether that's your employees or your clientele. At the end of the day, you have something that you're making or providing for a person.
Sure.
So if you don't take a moment to focus on the people that are providing for your clientele,
mm-hmm.
I think you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to continue to become more important
Yes.
moving forward. I mean, with the automation of things, that doesn't alleviate interactions with people, it enhances them. Yes, there may be fewer of them, but that means when you do have them, they have to be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, I think despite how much you automate, we're still going to have areas where people relate to people, and people are important. And how do you continue to do that? I think holds the key to so much of potential success moving forward.
Yes, I would agree with you on that. We have a few minutes left in this segment. I want to talk about these convictions.
Yes.
The MIBE Tribe convictions that you have.
Yes. So with the MIBE Tribe, it really is about creating a great place to work, but it's more about being intentional about building your culture. And through that, we believe the number one key is heart leadership, is being a heartfelt leadership. And there's a great book, Brene Brown, Dare to Lead, and in it there was we're reading this as as an executive team right now, but there was a quote that she had about, in the past, business and organizational was about muscle, and kind of through the Henry Ford and assembly line and, really muscle. And then it's become about brains and head and how much, you think. And what she's predicting is in the future it's going to be about heart. And I, to the point of what we were saying, I really believe that.
Yeah.
So we created 4 convictions around what we think heart leadership is. And the first one is lead, value people for more than the job they do. We really think that people are whole people, and you're not a different person when you walk in the door. Like, it's not business Anthony and personal Anthony. Like, we're one person, and we have to be receptive to those people, that they have, real lives, real problems, real issues. And so how do we respond to those and be receptive to those, but also expect a lot at work and balance those two out? Number 2 is love. Open your heart to be authentic, genuine, and vulnerable. I think that that's important. Vulnerability has got a bad rap historically. I think it's a key to being a true leader that people want to follow. Third part is MIBE. There's always more to learn and room to improve. If you have that growth mindset, it can transform how you operate and where you go. And then the final part is tribe. Work doesn't have to suck, so surround yourself with a kick-ass team. If you don't have the right people on the team, if you don't have the right people on the bus, a lot of this becomes a moot point. 1, 2 bad apples can really tear down the whole thing, and that's a very dangerous thing, and a lesson we've learned along the way. So you really have to have the right people around you, and I would argue that it's not just at work, but also personally in your life.
Oh, I love hearing that. So again, lead, love, MIBE, and tribe are the 4 convictions that you have for the MIBE Tribe. I like that you implemented the MIBE and the tribe in there.
Exactly.
I want to get into these in more detail, but unfortunately we have to take a break.
Okay.
So we will be right back here on Connect and Collaborate. Be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube page while you're here. Find this podcast and more at cobrt.com/radio-podcast. Type in Anthony Lambatos, type in Footers Catering, and now type in MIBE Tribe for of his past shows. We'll be able to find that for you. We'll be right back. Stay with us here on Connect and Collaborate. Welcome back to Connect and Collaborate. Once again, I'm Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, with one of my favorite guests, Anthony Lambatos, in studio. So, Anthony, we were talking last segment, and again, Footers Catering, you own that, but you've also launched a new offshoot of that, which is MIBE Tribe.
Yes.
And so we left off in the last segment talking about those 4 convictions: lead, love, MIBE, and tribe.
Yep.
And so I left you a little bit of room to explain all of those, but I wanted to take a little deeper dive into each one and what they mean to you. So we talked about your leadership and what you saw that you didn't want to implement moving forward as an owner for Caters. You didn't want to be the tornado, right?
Right.
Yes. So let's I love that it's value people for more than the job they do, right? You have your home person and you have your work person, and they are the same person.
Yep.
Yeah, if I lose a pet that morning and I know I have to work that day, I'm probably just going to be in a crappy mood, but if you leave me alone and let me just make my pastries for the day, I'm fine. I'll come back tomorrow, I'll be better.
Yeah, or maybe you need a half day to go deal with that. I mean, that's
a bigger, death of a pet is a very big value fish.
Yes. When I think about the valuing people for more than the job they do, there's historically too many people look at people as, and in most organizations, it tends to be the largest expense. So if you are looking at a P&L, and you're looking at expenses, labor for many organizations is the top expense. And so if you are just looking at it as an expense, the irony is that a lot of times it doesn't necessarily correlate. It doesn't show up on the other side of that. It's not a clear, like, here's the value that Alex brings, and here's the value that Anthony brings. Like, you have to know that internally and feel that, and most people do. But when you're looking at that piece of paper, it's very easy just to start looking at people as numbers. And that's, this is a big dollar amount. This is what all these people are costing me. This is too much. And as opposed to really looking at, like, okay, this isn't just an item on the P&L. Right. It's not just a liability that we have to employ all these people. And so I think that shift has started to happen, and I predict it'll continue to happen. I mean, we've been very fortunate to be in an economic climate that's been, with 3% unemployment, I would argue that if you're unemployed, you probably don't really want to be employed right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And so people have the freedom to go leave and get a new job, right? Like if you aren't happy with where you're at, you're going to go get a new job, and that job is available and out there. And so it's forced companies to have to shift and say, like, okay, how do we make sure we retain people? I have to care about my people now. Yeah, exactly, because they can go over here, and it may not be just paying people extra money. I think that's the other mistake that people have made, and it's no slap against, if being the highest pay in your industry is important and that's what you value, that's okay. But it doesn't have to be everything. Right. And, there's other companies that just try to throw money at the problem. And I personally believe that doesn't work. You can't just pay your way out of culture. You can't buy a great culture. This is something that you have to truly believe in. If you try to do that, then that does become your culture. That's how we fix all of our problems. We just buy our way out of it.
Exactly. And what looks better when you walk into a place and everyone's really happy to be there, or people that are just like, all right, I'm here, I'll do my job, it's what I get paid for, but that's the only reason I love this job.
Exactly.
I want to know that you love it here.
The customer experience is truly changed when people are loving what they do. So, yes, for us at Footers, valuing the whole person and understanding who they are, what their needs are, how it's different from somebody else. I mean, even with certain things that, schedule, like somebody might need different things with their schedule, and they may be willing to be paid less for that. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's all right. That we can work around that. We can modify a position that's going to fit what you need. And this person over here, they really want to have, vacation's really important to them. Okay, well, if you want more vacation, are you willing to, do this, this, and this over here. Well, yeah, that sounds good. Okay, great. We can all of a sudden start to talk and have a conversation about how do we give you what's most important to you, and you still are giving value back to the company and making sure that it is in balance, because those two things can't get out of balance. And that's what I don't want our listeners to misconstrue, that it's not just about giving employees everything they want and throwing up their hands and expecting nothing. We have very high expectations at Footers, and there is a lot on the line with what we do, and so that is a non-negotiable. It's very important that if you're going to sign up to work at Footers, you're going to commit to being excellent at what you do and doing a really great job. Through that inner working, we're going to be able to establish a relationship that works really well, where we really will care about who you are, and we expect you to care about the company.
Absolutely. If I'm going to support you and give you this time and work around your schedule and give you all the things that you need as an employee, I absolutely expect your best work while you're here and making sure that you focus in making my clientele happy as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yes.
But moving on to love. This one, I think, was the harder concept for me. Is love and job has not always been simultaneous in my career path. I've definitely had several jobs that I love. I love interviewing people. This is the best thing that I've walked into career-wise, and I love doing that. But as far as implementing that in a practice as a boss, as a leader, love that's a tricky one to implement, I think, for a team. But let's talk about, one, why you chose to include love, and two, how that's implemented.
Sure. So I think this goes back to what we were talking about with heart. And yes, love is a very strong word, and when you hear love, you don't think personal, and you think romance, and I think that's the other end of the spectrum when you think about what love really means. And for us, love, it means truly caring about people, and in this whole part about being authentic, genuine, and vulnerable. Right. We tend to put up barriers and walls when we come, and this is, we're taught at a young age, you get hurt, you share something with somebody, and they go and tell other people, and you lose their trust, and the immediate thing is like, I'm not telling anybody any secrets ever again. And so at a young age, you start to become very protective, and we build these protective walls around what we think is appropriate. And it's too bad, because some of that work is so hard to undo and get back to. But when we can come and shed the armor and come with our whole self, number one, we're giving more to the people and the organizations we're with, and number two, we have potential to do amazing things. That armor, while it protects you, it also holds you back. And so for us, that being open to love one another within our team and truly care about them. We talked about the valuing them, but also truly caring about them is a different thing. Do you remember birthdays? Do you know spouses' names? Do you know there's certain things that aren't monetary. They're not big compensation things. They're things that show you care, that build trust within your team. And to me, that's the essence of what love is about. It's that genuine, authentic caring about the people around you.
I think that's super interesting that you've included it on here. I was as you know, a flight attendant for about 8 years, and I didn't realize, because I ended up quitting so I could follow my career path here.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah, thank you. That was a tough decision to make.
I know you said you were. That's the first time I've heard you say were, so congratulations.
Were. Thank you. Yeah, I quit last July. It'll be almost a year. But that being said, I didn't realize how much of a relationship that was. I was with that company for 8 years. Yes. And right, anytime you have a job, a career, it takes up a lot of your time. Yep. Period. Whether that's your 40 hours a week in the catering business, a lot of times it's 60 hours per week, right? As a flight attendant, I would be gone for 4 days at a time, not touching my house, right? And sometimes I would stack them to where I did 10 days in a row.
Right.
Yeah. But But that being said, you spend a lot of time at this work, and so when I quit, I full on got the Ben and Jerry's out, and I was like, this is horrible. I was playing all by myself, like, but it really is like a relationship.
Yes.
And I think honoring that is very important, and whether that's opening that love up to ensuring that you love what you do, but also love your teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that you put love in there. That it was a surprising one, but I get it.
Good.
Yes. And then MIBE. Again, make it better every day, and there's always more to learn and room to improve.
Yes.
Always. No matter where you are in life.
Too many people don't realize that. And the sad thing is, as we get older, we shut ourselves off more and more because, and this kind of, these are all intertwined in some part, because that makes us vulnerable. You know, if I admit that I don't know something, I'm all of a sudden vulnerable, and I'm at risk for I might be discovered, or I'm a fraud, or and so as when you're younger, you're not supposed to know those things. You're not, so there's this carefree willingness to just, hey, I want to learn this and I want to explore, and it's even cool seeing the world through my son's eyes, who's 3.5, and he wants to know about everything, and it's like, that's really cool. Like, yeah, I've never thought about why that's that way. Like, let's explore. Let's figure that out. And so I think carrying that mindset is really important. And some people don't want to change. Like, change is hard.
Change is hard.
And you know what? That's okay. Our program isn't for them.
Yeah, because you have to make some real changes.
I mean, you do. And so for when people can shift around the fact of a growth mindset and really understanding that, like, no, I'm not fixed as to who I am. I can actually grow and become better and do things that are going to move our company forward or move myself forward. Those are things that I think are really important. So yeah, that's the MIBE piece about there's always more to learn, room to improve, because we can get, once you get good at something, it's very easy to get complacent.
Yes.
It's, we're good. We're doing fine. Like, everything's great. Why do we need to improve?
And it's interesting that you say that. I'm curious then what you have to say about this, because at a certain point, are there certain areas of company that are okay to just let float and then perhaps make something else better?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a constant evaluation of business.
Okay.
And it can be exhausting trying to always improve, which is why we love this MIBE, this make it better every day, because we really think about 1% improvements.
Okay.
And the stats are that if you do 1% improvement every single day for a year, by the end of the year you're going to be 37 times better than you were when you started. And in contrast, if you are 1% worse each day, you go almost down to 0 by the time a year has passed.
Yeah.
And on day one, that difference between 1% better and 1% different doesn't look that much. I mean, you think about, like, what's 1% better? It's not a lot. It's a small little tweak that's manageable, that's understandable. But by the end, the difference between that that 100th% that you're the 37th multiple of what we're talking about, and the how far off you've declined is huge and staggering. And so that's what a lot of times people see, is that gap between, like, oh, to get there, but I'm here. And they don't necessarily understand that, hey, if we just take these small steps, it's very manageable and it's not exhausting. And it's not that we're always chasing our tail or trying to get better or it's these small things that happen naturally. And that's the beauty of what I feel so proud of with our team, is that you walk around and people everywhere are saying, hey, like, if we do this would make this even better. And it's like, that's awesome. And it's a small little tweak. It's like, hey, instead of labeling it this way, let's label it this way. Not a big deal, but it's like, in the grand scheme of things, that improved organization, and that led to the next thing that somebody added onto that made it even more efficient. And all of a sudden, we look back and we're like, oh, look at the way we used to do it. That's awful. I can't believe that. And, like, look at it now.
How inefficient were we?
Right? Yeah. Exactly. But that didn't happen just overnight. That was a process that happened. So, I think there's things that, when it's good, you leave it, but you always have to be assessing where there's opportunity to improve. And that's what's cool for us. We go to CaterSource, we look at, we're doing pretty good as a company. We feel pretty good about ourselves, but we got to go there and look and be like, oh wow, like maybe we're not doing as good as we thought here. And over here, we've got a lot of opportunity to improve. And we learned this, so let's go back and implement that. And so it's a good kind of wake-up call almost for us, or I don't want to say wake-up call, but inspiration for us to come and be part of that.
Yeah, I will, and I want to ask CaterSource. So do your employees, when you get back, are they all like, "Oh man, he's going to be full of ideas and just making us implement all the things," or are they excited to hear what you learned?
Yeah, they're for the most part excited to hear. So we took 11 people. So we do a follow-up presentation, and so all 11 people share their kind of lens at what they learned. So this year we asked them all the same 5 questions, which is going to be really interesting. We have it coming up, the presentation to the rest of the team. But for them to I think one of them is like the thing we need to implement right away at Footers is, and they have to. It's cool to see what they come up with and what they see, and share that with the rest of the team, because it's important for us not to just go and learn. And we heard some statistics that were crazy about people that go to conferences and how little actually gets done when you come back.
Oh, yeah.
It was staggering. I think it was like only 7% of the people will implement like anything at all. And it was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, that seems ridiculous.
It does seem ridiculous, but at the same time, people are going there, they're out of town, they're enjoying their time that they have, and I could see how that would fall a little bit by the wayside.
Well, and it's tough when you get back. It's like then you're worried about catching up and your day-to-day, and
exactly.
For us, we have this culture of making it better, and so it's I think more natural for us to come back and want to do these things and implement them, but I can see how it is tough for other companies.
Absolutely. And let's talk about this last conviction here.
Yes.
I wanted to say tenet, but conviction. I feel like
we toyed around with whether it should be rules or convictions or tenets, and convictions sounded really...
It sounds best, and everybody hates rules, so
that's what
everybody hates rules.
It started out as rules.
Yeah.
It really did. This is a funny side story, but it started out as rules, and one person said, well, rules, I don't know, like maybe we should change. And so we like kind of tried to wordsmith a bunch of stuff, and then, sent it out and asking a bunch of other people. And finally somebody was like, rules are something you have to follow, that is like mandatory. These are more inspirational and aspirational things that you want to aspire to do. And it's like, yes, that's the essence of why it should not be a rule. And so for us, these are convictions of what we want to live by.
I like that. See, I'm glad I found that little side story there. but your last conviction here is tribe. And again, I love this. Work doesn't have to suck. Surround yourself with a kick-ass team. Simply said.
We don't shy away from whimsical and fun language. If you check out the website, and specifically the bios, Sam, I got to give him a shout out, did most of the writing from our team on the website, and it's phenomenal. It's I think it embodies who we are. It's fun. It's we're not overly corporate. We're not overly rigid. It is something that is more playful, and so the website dictates that. And so this was another one we had conversation around of like, well, can you use the word ass, and should we use the word suck, and like all this stuff. And it's like, no, like let's just be who we are.
Be who you are.
And if we offend a couple people along the way, we're sorry.
Then we're not for you.
But not that sorry. Yeah, we're not for you. I didn't make it for you.
Exactly.
I love that. Somebody told me that once, like when somebody disagrees, and I can't remember where I got that from, but it's just to say it's okay, I didn't make it for you. Right. When somebody isn't happy, or it's like, yeah, like that's okay, like it's not for you. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, so work doesn't have to suck. Surround yourself with a kick-ass team, and this goes back to what I was talking about with the Parade of Homes days, and like seeing like how work could be fun, and like how you can make it fun. But also I alluded to in the last segment of the importance of having the right people. Mm-hmm. And that is something that is so important. And our interview process is, for anybody in a leadership position, is extremely rigid and pretty long. And we develop a whole process that you have to go through. And when we share that with other people, they're like, how long does that take? And that's really lengthy. And it's like, well, it's worth it. For
You're
us,
investing, yeah.
Like, yeah, you can speed this thing up and do do it in 2 weeks, and then you're going to spend the next 2 months figuring out if this person's the right person for the job. And then after that, you've wasted a whole nother month, where if you just would have spent 6 weeks doing it in the first place, you might have got the right person and then, not wasted so much time training them only to see them go somewhere else. So yeah, we spend a lot of time on training and once they're hired, but that hiring process is really important to us, and making sure that we get the right people on board.
Well, yeah, as you said, twice now we've said that if you're offended by some of these things, it's not for you, right? And so you want someone, one, who's going to have the convictions that you want.
Uh-huh.
And two, you want someone that's also going to be a team player, because regardless of any job that you have, at some point you're going to have to be a team player.
Yeah, I would agree and disagree on that a little bit. I think it depends on the environment. Mm-hmm. I think there are very high-functioning teams that have phenomenal individuals that can carry the load, if you know what I mean. And so the reliance on team is not so much there. That somebody can do a lion's share of the work and be a really great expert, and there can be other people that can just fill in a few gaps, and it can be fine. Organizations like ours, we have 5 different departments that all play a part in making sure our jobs are successful and our events are successful. And if any one of those 5 departments doesn't do their job, like, the event doesn't go.
Oh yeah.
It just doesn't happen. And so for us, teamwork is very important. And I think a lot of companies it is. But it also goes back to values and what's important. There's, we talk about the historical command and control. Like, I'm in charge, I'm going to tell you what to do, and you're going to do it. Well, you could argue that, I guess, on both sides, that's good teamwork and that's not good teamwork, depending on how you feel about it. But if you have people in that environment that understand that, it might not be considered great teamwork, but it might work really well. And on the flip side, you could have a very flat organization where everybody works really well together and collaborates and works really well as a team. So, yeah. I don't know.
I like it.
Maybe a different spin on it.
No, I like it. Last few minutes here for this segment. I'd always go so fast with you in here. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
It's so much fun.
It is fun. I really enjoy this with you. But I want to talk about specifically who this MIBE Tribe is for.
Yes.
Who are the companies that should be seeking you out at MIBETribe.com?
Yeah, so we are really focusing on the hospitality industry. We, obviously are in catering, and while company culture and heart leadership expand to many other industries, I would argue every industry, we feel like the hospitality industry has a unique set of challenges. It's a little bit different than, the tech world or healthcare or, manufacturing. It has a little bit of those things that it pulls from each one, but specifically, we feel like our curriculum and what we've developed can really benefit hospitality companies. So within the hospitality, when you're talking about it's so huge when you think about restaurants and hotels and events. There's so many people that touch different events. All of that kind of comes together. So that's who our program is really geared toward. But we also do speaking for other larger groups in different industries as well.
That is exciting stuff. So again, MIBETribe.com.
That's right. Check it out.
Yes, and so you can have that 1 to 2 day cultural immersion
program
with Footers Catering. In this last minute here, Anthony, I wanna ask you a question.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you about leadership.
Okay.
Personally speaking, do you think leaders are just born, or can you learn how to be a leader?
Great question. I think it's a combination of both. I do think there are certain skills that people are born with that help them to be on that path, but I firmly believe that anyone can learn to be a leader. And the degree to which they're going to be asked to be in different situations may determine their effectiveness and overall ability to rise up in that position. But I think anyone can learn to become a leader and grow their skills in terms of managing and helping others grow. And really, when we talk about this heartfelt leadership, I think anybody can do that. And that's that opportunity to really, truly transform how we lead people.
I love that. Thank you so much, Anthony.
Thank you,
Always
Alex.
a pleasure having you. Once again, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube page while you're here. Find this podcast more at cobrt.com/radio-podcast. Tune in Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock to cobrt.com/live for this show. And be sure to visit MIBETribe.com and footerscatering.com. Thank you so much.